Hey everyone, so in today's video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, and that's going to be a video on my writing frustrations currently and what I plan on doing to combat them in the new year. It's January 11th while I'm filming this, which means we're a bit way through the new year. I am back at university, and let's just address the setup because I probably won't do this very often, but I wanted a cozy kind of chit-chat video, and so I thought, why not sit on my desk? I wanted to do this video for a while because I have been feeling quite frustrated and stagnated with my writing, and I wanted to share a little bit of that with you guys, and I wanted to show you guys that I also have these struggles too and that they're very normal. So I have a list of 4 major things that are going wrong with my writing process lately. The first one is I feel like I'm getting worse at writing. So this was actually the #1 issue that made me want to make this video because I am getting a little bit frustrated with my writing quality, but I've been writing for 6 years since I was 12, and so it's been quite some time. So I've gone through cycles of struggling, and right now is a cycle of struggling. The issue I've been feeling is that I am sort of sucking at writing, which is not really fun, and I actually didn't feel this way until kind of recently. It very much solidified for me. Often when I'm trying to fall asleep, I will read my own work because it bores me to sleep. So I'm currently working on my novel Mothwork, and usually I'll just read that when I'm going to bed, or I'll read notes that I've written. I kind of had already reread the notes a million times because I couldn't sleep. It was probably during like finals week. I decided, let's just go back and read book 6 of Fostered. And book 6 of Fostered, I think I wrote primarily in 2018. And I sort of missed my main character, Reeve, and I said, it would be kind of fun to just reread a bit of that book. So I opened one of the chapters, and it's kind of a blessing and a curse. I enjoyed what I was reading. I was kind of amazed at how different my writing is now, and not in a good way. I'm not going to make this video all about me being self-deprecating and just dragging my writing, because I feel like in the writing community, we often do that enough where we're always making fun of our own work. So this is genuinely, I realized, okay, objectively, my word choice was better, my specificity was better, my descriptions were better, my metaphors were better, similes were better, everything was better, and I really didn't get it because I was like, this writing is literally from a year and a half ago, and I think it has more quality and potential than the writing that I'm currently writing. That book is written in a different point of view. That's in first person present tense. I'm writing in third person present tense right now, which is a completely different thing. I'm writing in a different character's head, so obviously language should be different when it comes to voice. However, it didn't stop me from feeling kind of sad boy about it, because I felt that I had a lot of strong writing in, what is that book called? Rewired, that wasn't translating very often into Mothwork. Sometimes I would have like passages or paragraphs or like a chapter or 2 fluke in Mothwork that would have the same sort of writing in it where I'd be really proud of it. And I think the only one I'm thinking of is Holy Queen, and that's my favorite chapter in the whole book, where it has the sort of similar complexity of language. In Rewired, it's not like tons of the writing was really good. Usually I would just have like good paragraphs, which is okay. Like, I'm totally fine with that. Or like sometimes one good chapter, but it's really difficult for me to write something that's technically strong for like more than like a few paragraphs. Even though I've been writing for a few years at this point and I've written so many books, I still haven't combated that issue. So don't worry if you in that same boat too, because like, same girl. So I am looking at my solutions, and #1, the first thing that I decided to do was I cannot think of any of these good specific words. And then I realized that I haven't read anything in a very long time. So if you guys don't know this about me, I am not a very good reader. I think when I was a kid, I was very much more an avid reader, but even then, I wasn't always reading books. Maybe I was, I can't really remember though. But in my teens, I have not really read very much. Not a great thing when you're a writer. I think reading is very important for a number of reasons, but #1 for writers, I think it expands your vocabulary. And for me, that's kind of what I need reading for, to remind me of words that I like and know, but that I sometimes look past or don't remember. So of course I didn't read very much in 2019, and I was like, why is my word choice so bad? So what I decided to do to combat that was to make a list of words that I really like as I'm reading. I don't know why I haven't thought to do this earlier. It's something that's crossed my mind, and I thought it would be pretty helpful. Like while I'm reading a book, I see a word I like, should write it down. But I've never actually done it. So I did this when I was feeling particularly bummed one day. My favorite book ever, my book Bible, is The Girls by Emma Cline. And I think I paged through the prologue and the first chapter of that book. And I just wrote down all of the words that I thought were really interesting. Not words that are specific to Emma Cline's writing style, because she might make up a verb or two, or like have a very, very specific word that I wouldn't use, but words that I know but just need reminders of, or words that I've used in the past but just need reminders of that showed up in her work. I wrote that down, and I'm keeping it in a document on my computer called Words for When You're Bored, just to page through whenever I'm feeling a little bit uninspired, because I am a geek when it comes to words themselves, like pretty words. And number 2 is kind of tied into that, which is reading, which I just talked about. I am trying my best to get through the books that I have at university. I didn't bring very many books to university with me because I have moved very far away from my house, and I knew that I wouldn't read very much. I'm kind of setting myself up for failure, aren't I? But my goal is, before I move, I really want to read every single book that I have here. I don't have very many. Maybe there's 5 brand new books, including some shorter poetry books and stuff that I can read, but I would really like to read some of them so that, first of all, I don't feel like I wasted my time bringing them here, especially since it wasn't super easy and I kind of stuffed them in my overstuffed backpack. And number 2, so that my vocabulary and just writing knowledge can be expanded. Another thing that I can do to sort of solve that problem is note what I like about my past writing. And I kind of mentioned that it was like the stronger similes, specificity, the eye for detail. And also I think that was practice and writing more frequently. So maybe that's another thing I can do. It's really hard when I'm working on my 10th novel right now. I've been writing for 6 years. I feel like I shouldn't be going backwards, but I can't lie. Like, I do feel like I'm regressing in some areas of writing, and that's very normal. I feel like I don't see people talk about that super often, about the sort of back and forth of writing. I feel like, at least for me, let me know if you guys feel this way, writing isn't a chronological thing for me. It's very non-linear. It jumps around. Sometimes I'm really good at something, and then sometimes I'm just not, and I'm off my game. Some years I'm killing it at writing and my prose is really strong. Other years it's not. Some years my characters are great. Some years they're very flat. Some years my plot's killing it, and some years I just can't write plots. So these things really fluctuate, and let me know if you guys feel the same way about that. So number 2, another gripe I have with my writing recently, is my process feels like it's stagnating a little bit. And what I mean about this is I am a pantser, and I have always been a pantser. And I'm quite vocal about me being a pantser on my channel. And this is not my announcement that I'm outlining, because even with my mouthwork outline, I was reading it yesterday and literally nothing happened that I planned for. And I was like, of course, it didn't happen in the way I thought it would, so my plan changed. I wanted to talk about pantsing and feeling like my process is stagnating. I feel like I'm sort of falling into the trap of doing the exact same thing for all of my books. And that's not bad, I guess, if that's what is needed, but I am definitely not looking at what the book needs. That doesn't mean planning. I do a bit more outlining with Mothwork just because I needed to keep track of some plotty stuff, but maybe I can incorporate more exercises into my writing, or just more frequent writing, a bit more of a routine in my writing. I learned a really cool technique in my writing class at the beginning of the year that I'd like to implement maybe before I write every scene, or maybe not that frequently, especially if I'm writing like 6 scenes, but the exercise I'd like to also go through on this channel, because it was so cool, where basically you imagine what is above the character, what's below them, what's to their left, right, front, and back, and what's below them as well. And that was super cool for description, and I love to incorporate more stuff like that if I'm feeling stuck, because the reason this process stagnating thing is on my list is I feel like often when I get stuck, I'm like, I'm just gonna do what I know I do, and I'm not really gonna problem solve or change anything. I'm just gonna keep trucking along, which sometimes that works. But in instances it's not, or I wanna try something new, I'd like to incorporate more exercises like that, especially if I'm finding it hard to start off a scene, maybe describing something or setting the scene. I think intention is something I want to focus a lot more on in 2020, and sort of taking my time a little bit, but not taking my time because I am not putting any time toward writing, which I've also found an issue with in 2019. Life kind of got in the way, and that's okay. I rather prioritize my life, which keeps moving along, than my writing, which is always there. It did make it kind of difficult to feel like I was doing stuff. I really like this idea, and this is what I continuously do, but I want to implement it even more. I've been doing this since I started pantsing, but perhaps looking ahead at a moment and working toward a moment. And I usually do that subconsciously, but maybe thinking about it a little bit more. Again, the intention thing about what is the plot point that I need to hit. Okay, what is the next emotional arc that I need to hit? What am I trying to hit? And try my best to write something that is going to lead me to that path. The third thing I wanted to talk about is writing very little. This is another gripe I have, and it's an issue I've been having for a while. And I don't mean that you need to write 600,000 words a year like I did when I was 13 to feel like you are a writer, because that's not necessary. It's fine. Like, you don't need to write that much. That's a lot of words to be writing in 1 year. My writing output doesn't seem to be changing. It's like I chip away, but I'm kind of constantly at the same output. And I usually don't like goals, like writing goals, or like word count goals, like daily word count goals. I used to do that when I was younger. I do want to combat this issue because ever since I started changing my genre, I think as I've thought about more of my craft, and I've gotten a bit more serious about honing my craft, I have taken a longer time with my writing, which I'm totally okay with. I'm okay with taking like 1.5 years to finish a book. Like, that's fine, and very normal, or even longer, that's okay. But it's the writing very little, aka like it takes me 2 months to write a chapter. I don't usually need the validation of a word count to feel like I was very productive. I very much got caught up in that when I was younger. I would kind of value my writing on how much I'd written, which is not necessarily a great thing to do. It becomes kind of difficult when I'm writing very slowly. I'm not really producing as much as I want to, and that's the difference. Like, I want to be producing more, and because I want it, I definitely need to be changing a few things in my process so that I can hit that. My idea to combat that would be to set small goals, and I know I just said I don't like goals, but I think I need to get over it a little bit because I think a goal would be really helpful, and maybe not daily word count goals. I know at one point I was like doing 250 words a day, which was fine, but maybe like monthly or quarterly goals, and maybe not even word count goals, but longer term goals like chapters or scenes, like sort of longer term, less calculable. Okay, and the last gripe I've been having with my writing lately is not really enjoying anything. And I realized this, I think, when I was writing my last chapter. I was like, I hate doing this. You know, writing isn't just about like completing stuff. I think you should also enjoy it. One of my solutions would be to not be afraid of like changing stuff that I'm not enjoying. I funnily was like writing, I think, my last scene and kind of being like, I don't get it. I don't like this. I don't want to write this at all. Writing this is making me not feel good about writing, and I would rather be doing something else. And it kind of clicked in my head, and I was like, you know, you could change it. Sometimes you gotta push through the harder scenes, but if you're really not enjoying something, you can usually tell in the final product. And I'm definitely going to be able to tell when I reread that draft that I did not enjoy writing it. So maybe changing direction, changing character decisions. You'd be surprised by changing the decision your character makes, like how big of a difference that can make. So being less afraid to change things up. Not even afraid. It's not even like I was like, I am so scared to change everything. It was more like I didn't even think that that was a possibility. And also, this is quite vague in terms of not enjoying what I do, but maybe start writing stuff that I do like. And, you know, it's kind of funny. Mothwork started out as a project where I was not taking it seriously. And then I realized that not taking it seriously and also taking it seriously, like in terms of craft, can coexist. It's not the easiest sometimes, but it can coexist. It was supposed to be a project where I would just enjoy everything, which I think is a bit of wishful thinking. I don't think you're always going to enjoy writing absolutely every part of a book. If you do, I need your tips. It slowly started turning into something that was just taking forever, and that I maybe wasn't really enjoying. The last few chapters I've not really enjoyed writing very much. So instead of just sort of getting hold into that, maybe moving on and writing something that I do like, and that sort of ties in with the change. Like, if I'm not liking the scene, can I just finish it and then move on to a scene that I do like and finish it very roughly and then maybe come back to it later? Things that you would think you would do, but maybe just don't realize to do during drafting. So that was that video. Those are a few gripes I've been having with my writing and just a few solutions that I'm hoping I can implement. I think I'm gonna write them out and maybe like pin them somewhere, because I do genuinely forget that there are solutions to problems. I mean, not always, but like, it's a thought that counts. If you've been struggling with anything, let me know and we can angst in the comments together. Or we can talk about solutions, which would also be productive. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you found it cozy, let me know, and maybe I will do this crazy setup again. Thank you guys so much for watching. If there's anything you want to see while I'm here, like a talking heads video, let me know. But for now, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.